Welcome back to this Let's Play of Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic 2. Last time we had a lot of conversations between our companions. We saw our day in court when we were exiled from the Jedi, and got a little bit more background information. Apparently those Jedi Masters know something about what happened to us, and they didn't tell us. So that's unusual. There's a whole lot of conversations we can have with our companions. I'm going to skip through most of them. If anybody wants to actually see the whole list, just, indicate so in the video, and I have saves along the way here, so I can just come back and show them. Now there's a whole bunch of upgrades you can do to T3M4. The intelligence ones are the most important ones. When you do them, he mentions that you look like you're glazing out when he's shut down. I don't know how he's noticing, but I guess he's only partially shut down. The rest of it is skippable. The bonuses you get from that just give him small stat bonuses. I think in the end I gave him +2 int, +1 con, and +1 dex. Not anything super important, but hey, worth doing. There's more conversations with Kreia, but frankly that's an episode unto itself. Let's talk to Beadur a little bit.
Hey, General, are you alright?
What are you talking about?
You look like you've been standing too close to
now, this is one of these
generators. I'm
going to skip over this. All of your companions will sort of remark when you become very light side or very dark side, and essentially your connection to the Force manifests itself visibly. It's not very visible actually with the light side. With the dark side characters, it becomes very obvious that something freaky's going on.
Was there something you...
And you can ask about a variety of things. Beadur will give you shields
something else.
if you ask for them.
Just something.
And most of your companions will give you something as as they're sitting around on the Ebon Hawk. And really, you can abuse this by requesting things, then breaking them down, requesting things, then breaking them down, and getting infinite resources that way. I'll avoid doing that. There was something you wanted to talk about earlier.
Why did you decide to fight?
And the Mandalorians had to be stopped.
I felt the same way. I remembered when word of the Mandalorian attacks arrived on Iridonia. My people had colonies across the Outer Rim. Many of them were among the first systems to fall.
Okay, as good as reason as any.
I did not join because I wanted to protect, though. I hated them. I wanted to destroy them. To give them the mercy they gave the people they conquered. I remember the thrill I felt when we fought them in battle. Victories were rare, but we celebrated every Mandalorian's death. Do you know how it felt?
And, Jedi aren't supposed to engage in such emotions.
I couldn't do that. It was almost as though the battle took control of me, drove me forward. It's always on my mind now. That loss of control blinded me, turned me into a weapon. I just needed to get that off my chest. Was there something you wanted me for?
Okay, and you can ask about his arm, and there's, all this other stuff, but he gives you really basic melee shields. If you are going to abuse the whole equipment, allies handing out equipment, T3M4's computer spike handouts are probably the best way to do it. So, he'll bring you up to 6 computer spikes, which, is handy. I'll look at what Kreia has for discussions here. Kreia's "Hey, your light side" conversation has some options with it.
You have grown strong in the Force. I can feel its touch upon you. Do not let the higher mysteries blind you to others. Turning away from that which tempts you or causes you fear is not strength. Facing it is. I have seen you display many acts of mercy, charity in our journey. Why?
And, you could say there's enough suffering in the galaxy.
Even if it weakens those you help, even if it robs them of the strength needed to grow, you have been chased, hounded since our first meeting, and it has only made you stronger, more capable.
Well, if you're trying to guilt me out of helping people, you won't succeed.
Ah, then you have learnt nothing. From such small things, from such critical points, the universe and its masses may be moved. That is why you must be careful in all that you do, and in every choice you make. Aiding them gives you strength by taking on their challenges, but weakens them. If that is your choice, then use their dependency, feed upon it, until you have exhausted them. Then leave them. And I would view the ones you travel with much the same way.
So you're saying I should steal people's side quests for the XP? It's good enough philosophy for anything. And you can stand up for your companions and you'll lose influence with Kreia, or you can say, I shall view you as disposable then.
Ah, now you are learning. Do you know why those we meet display such weakness? As I said, their lives are static, untested. It is only through interaction, through decision and choice, through confrontation, physical or mental, that the Force can grow within you. You have seen it. You have felt it within you as you have traveled with me. The growing anger, the rage, and the power it brings. Yet the power does not build without such struggle. Through small cruelties, greater ones are born.
Okay. And that's one of many conversations where I'm going to gain dark side points and influence with Kreia. And I'm just going to have to put up with it because, as you can see, I'm still very much making progress towards the light side, and I am just starting in the game. And this is the free roam portion of the game is just starting, and that's probably a good, we're maybe a quarter of the way through the game. So I'm not worried about hitting full light side. There are a variety of things you can talk to Kreia about, and there are not that many that are important. You can ask about
Atris herself is not as...
And, more or less, I'm going to skip through this conversation, but Kreia reveals that she was Revan's mentor.
You have already asked much.
And that revelation is worth 500 XP. Handy.
Yes.
And you can also ask about whether she's a Jedi or a Sith.
Does it matter? Of course it does. Such titles allow you to break the galaxy into light and dark, categorize it. Perhaps I am neither, and I hold both as what they are, pieces of a whole. Know that I am your teacher, and that is enough.
Okay, and you can ask what she was.
What do you wish to hear? That I once believed in the code of the Jedi? That I felt the call of the Sith? That perhaps once I held the galaxy by its throat? That for every good work that I did, I brought equal harm upon the galaxy? That perhaps what the greatest of the Sith Lords knew of evil they learned from me? What would it matter now? There is only so much comfort in knowing such things, and it is not who I am now.
Okay, we can say we still wish to hear the story.
Learn from me, my mistakes, and use that knowledge to become greater than I. That is all I ask of you, and that is all I desire. In you all my hopes rest, for the future, for the Force.
Okay, and the movie we missed there essentially shows Kreia and the guy, you know, who was unintelligible in black robes, that was talking to the woman in red and black earlier, we saw in that sort of ominous vision, and Darth Sian, the guy, you know, that sleeps with vibroblades, as Atten calls him. And she admits that essentially she was the leader of that Sith triumvirate, and they cast her out and exiled her because they were ambitious, and she essentially did not conform. So she is in exile just as much as you. And you can say that you need a little more information than that.
If it means so much to you, then this I swear to you upon my life, upon our lives, that when your training is complete, I will answer everything. There shall be no more shadows between us, only truth that exists between master and apprentice.
Okay. That revelation is worth 1,000 XP. One last little conversation with Kreia, not nearly as important as the last two.
Yes?
And you can ask her about the Force.
Very well. What is it that drives you?
And you can ask her about building a lightsaber.
Indeed. A Jedi tool and a Sith weapon. And why do you need such a thing?
Blatant light side answer to, that defend you and my allies.
Then listen to me. There is much weight, much craving attached to such a tiny thing of light. A lightsaber, any weapon, only achieves worth in how it is wielded, in the effort, in the struggle of one who holds it. Such a weapon does not make a Jedi or a Sith, and at times it makes them much, much less than they are.
Okay, that doesn't really answer the question. I wanted to make one, not get a lesson about history of weapons.
The knowledge has already been imparted to you. Upon our journey, the pieces shall fall into place.
Okay.
Ask.
And, you know, hey, blatant free light side points, especially since we got some dark side points earlier. One thing that's important is the more light side you are, the more a single dark side event matters, and the less a single light side event matters. So it's very easy to essentially fall or be redeemed in the case of dark side. Those are most of the conversations I'm going to bother with for now. There are a couple others. There's one you can have with Atten, but for now I'm going to just stick to moving on to the next location in the game. There are 3 major planets, 1 minor planet, and we can also go back to Telos. And we in fact should, just from the standpoint there's a quest to hand in, but I'm not going to do it just yet. Korriban was originally sort of half a planet. There's not as much there as there is on the other planets, and it's really the one to go to last. Supposedly that's something that the Restoration Project dealt with, but honestly, I'm going to go to Nar Shaddaa first, because there are a couple of companions there I can pick up that I want. So it's going to be Nar Shaddaa, Dantooine, Onderon, Korriban, and then that'll end the sort of free roam portion of the game. But I will start with the trip to Nar Shaddaa next episode.